Good afternoon, it's Thursday, April 4th, Senate institutions. We're getting off the floor, we're a few minutes from where we thought we might be, but, we're gonna continue our discussion, on their, capital bill. We were gonna, talk to the BGS, going through sections, 16. We left off there yesterday because we thought we had enough, stuff swirling around through our brains that we wanted to be fresh, going on, moving forward with that. So, I think, we're gonna have, Joe Asia, the BTS, step up to the table.
It's snowing afternoon.
Yeah, it is, just non-stop.
Yes. For the record, I'm Joe Asia, the Director for Design and Construction with Buildings and General Services. When we left off yesterday, I'm starting to get into the reallocation. Everything that Building and General Services has is what was the governor's recommend. The changes to the dollar amounts for FY55. So we're looking at the various projects, 15, which anything with either various projects are listed as major maintenance is really section 2. It's those words are coming from how our county offices does it for us. We create these FIBs. And so that what happens typically is when we do contracts for design or construction, that money, if we have an allowance or items like that in a contract reimbursable, so it doesn't all get spent when we close out the contract, the money comes back. And we've been trying to, of course, use that over time on projects. But what's happened is it gets difficult to keep track of that and trying to get an invoice or two that can use up that old money. And so we looked at doing is just giving it back at this point in time. So when we're looking at that, we look at FY25 under line, let's see, row 130, it's $81,743.
So, Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Yep.
So there was nothing in FY25.
See, they hadn't reallocated any, they haven't gone back. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. Illyria's provides in 24, because that's the same thing they did in 24. They went back and
Yes.
found some dollars in those projects, okay.
Correct. So that when we put our capital bill together, if there was anything that we were looking to get back at that point in time was in FY24. So when we did the capital bill adjustment, we're additional funds that are just out there.
So does this necessarily mean that the project went over? And I guess, let me just ask on the first one, various projects, so it's probably multiple things. So we still have the 65,463 in the FY24.
Yes.
So was that spent? Was that?
So we
the
had
amount
given
spent?
back the 65,463 in FY24 that was already given back.
Okay,
And there were additional projects that we closed out. They said trying to balance the books. Money left over was the 65, the $81,743.
So I think what she's asking is, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator Harrison, did the 65,463 get allocated back in 2024, last year's
Yes, it
capital
did.
bill?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so it's that's when it's been spent.
so
It's
it went
encumbered right now?
No, it is given back to the capital bill.
And
so
to
that
some
was-
sort of fund balance.
Yes, so that leftover money was given back to the capital bill and
and
then rolled back into.
another project here or there, wherever.
Exactly.
The same thing that's gonna go on.
Yeah.
Let me clarify.
Okay, well.
So this,
Yes, but I wrote him in so that they do their act.
so the same thing that's gonna happen, the same thing is gonna happen here, Senator Harrison. On the yellow section.
Yeah.
All that money is gonna total before it's all said and done, about $378,180. And that's gonna be monies that we're going to, that they were originally, that the House was gonna propose, that we take that monies and start to tear down buildings in the Windsor facility. And we have thought that we might be something doing different, so we're gonna reallocate those dollars into capital projects into 2024.
Okay, but let me just ask, why do we show the total as the total of these two numbers, if this $24 got used elsewhere. See where we have on J, the 147, 206, that's the total of the
Yes.
two numbers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I would think that that would be what is intended and expected to be spent in that line item.
It's not to be spent, it's giving back to the capital bill. So the 65,000 last year was given back and brought to the bottom line
Yeah,
and then reallocated back into the capital bill itself. So that money gets
so that's a
reused.
negative,
That is correct.
and the 81 is also a
Also, again,
negative,
that we're giving that back. That is not spent on money, it goes back to the capital.
Got
bill
it.
fund.
we should.
Which is
we
why
could
it's
say
under
a
this
negative
section. It's
there.
under this
Right.
section
Yeah,
for
so
that
everything
reason.
under
These are
this-
all reallocations, right?
Right,
Right.
so it all comes back.
Right, except the as passed is not a reallocation. Right, under,
It is in the fact that we gave that money back.
Right.
And then it was reused someplace else in the FY 24 capital bill.
but when it was passed, it wasn't a reallocation.
Karen, it was.
In 24, yes,
No, no,
It must have
in
been
Act
the bill.
69.
Yeah, it must have been
Yeah.
that bill as a
that, we
reallocation.
were giving that money back.
Okay,
So
so
buildings
it
and
was a
general services,
reallocation
yes.
then too.
That is correct.
Okay,
there's-
so all of these are negatives.
Yes, we are giving.
Okay, okay. I gotta just get that in my head. Thank
So they're
you.
like back transfers,
Right,
transfers back to capital.
but just to a general place, not a specific place.
Right, it goes to the bottom line and then comes into account that the money that you can then
Got it.
put
And
to
that's
some other
all-
projects
this
in
whole
FY
section
25.
is-
That is correct.
All right, thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
helpful.
That's helpful.
Okay, good.
And so basically, we have, the next one down is again. Major maintenance from. Axis 16. We have, and that was for $23,122.
Yep.
That's in section 2. Yes, it's in various projects. Again, for. Axis 18, $452,363. That one I know quite well is that we were. Trying to get rid of our real old money, because it's hard to account for over time. And this was from a settlement that we had, the Vermont Agricultural and Environmental Lab down in Randolph. Is where most of this money came from, that the first year that was in operation, the parking lot heaved considerably. 3-4 inches or something like that. Then we found out that there was an error in the design, and the design firm, somebody was sitting in here to basically redo the parking.
Which you have.
Since then, past 3-4 years, everything's been fine. So it's like, all right, if I ever have to do it, they'll probably do the major maintenance items down the road and do them like that, instead of trying to sit on it. So
Instead of waiting for it when you really had to do it.
that's right,
You had,
well,
you had needs.
Got it.
right, and because each year the Revo committee gets and they ask me why it's sitting there, so it's easier to move it back and we'll do major maintenance if it does crop up again.
Is there a section reference there?
That, the section that is referenced. I think there are multiple ones and not just specifically, so I'm thinking that is coming out of when I'm looking at the section numbers. Out of section, there will be section 2 and actually 16 and paragraph 13. I'm not sure
Okay.
that one that is. But that is when you look at the section numbers, it is in there. Coming down to the next row, 133, we have again major maintenance for tax 20. 407,000 on that one.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I can't remember what that was about. Next row down, we have from Axis 13 statewide major maintenance. Last year, that 13,000, we tried to get it all back to you, but again, with the bookkeepers going back through and they audited themselves, they found another $9,606 sitting there, so. And we're back to 13, we'll give it back to you again. 12 was very similar. So I think once this money is given back to you, I think they can close those books and be done with it. Row 136, we have, this is a specific line item for the State House Dome, Drum and Series. That's when we replaced series on the top, rebuild the dome, the likes of that. There was, the last section here, about lighting, and that lighting happened to be here in the front of the State House. And it just, there's never gone anywhere, we had no direction as to whether we're gonna change the color of the lights and the lights of that, so we're giving it back. Did at 38,525.
Yep.
The next one that is BGS is row 140. And that's the Newport Northeast State Correctional Facility, the DDC system. I want to say it was in 16. We 16, 17, the 17, I think we came to and we needed more money, or in 18 or something like that. Because we were seeing that it's gonna be real high. However, it turned out to be that we give you some money back because in reality, as the project is winding down, we have the additional funds to be given back to you. So that's where that 26,952 comes from.
Excuse me.
And I think
Then, so those, all the ones in the yellow are what you guys basically found, and then like, that was in the capital bill.
yes,
That was what,
absolutely.
and then the other ones, in the pinkish color are dollars that were found by the repo commission, committee from the House.
That is correct.
Okay, and so when you total that all together, you got $378,180, and that's all bonded dollars.
That was 378,180, though that's just for the Windsor facility. That's where they took out the money in 22,
Okay.
actually 22, and then brought it forth.
Okay, I get that, yeah, I apologize, yeah,
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
thinking it was a total, I
No,
apologize,
yeah.
yeah,
A little further,
yeah,
further down.
Okay.
It's,
yeah.
because you also had, what is it, the bond issuance costs are also in there, so the total back is almost 2.6.
Yeah, okay.
Any questions on reallocation?
No, it's clear. I'm glad that we went all the way to the end, because I was just making an assumption that was wrong, so I'm glad we did that.
I just wanna check, line 18. Looks like it's related somehow. To that. 141.
That is correct. Going through with the House, they reallocated the $378,180 that was given there and reallocated to line 18 with an additional $100,000 to look at the demolition and salvaging of the buildings down there, and what we can do with moving that along at that Windsor. Yeah, so. Onto the cash fund. And what we have here, again, in yellow was the reallocations in the capital bill that we requested. And I think the only one that we changed for the reallocation was for the Farland project, the re-roof and brick facade. We needed an additional 1 million for that. And that was agreed to by the House. So that was the only one that is highlighted yellow here. That was in the original capital bill request. There's another one at the bottom of the page, row 206, the DOC statewide pressure facility HVAC. And that was another one where we're at a point that we know to finish the HVAC upgrades and replacement that $462,026 was requested of that. And so then we get into the House side and the adjustments start with, let's see, line 186. I know we have a pinkish color on line 181,
It's kind of all right,
but
it's the same,
it's the same amount.
maybe it shouldn't be pink.
Mr. Chair, if I could interrupt Joe for a sec.
Yep.
For the record, Scott Moore, Joint Fiscal Office, just that line 181, it looks a little confusing. The House had originally taken that 250 away. And then toward the end of deliberations, before the bill was finally voted out, they put it back. So that pink on line 181 is actually inadvertent. I didn't take it away.
Okay.
So that is literally my error. So you can ignore that pink there.
Okay.
All right, well, you're gonna have to stay home for that then,
Well,
Scott.
I will stay home in my room.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, thank you very much. Commissioners joined us on the screen. Good to see you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Jennifer Fitch, the Commissioner of the Department of Buildings and General Services, and I'm so happy that I get to sit over Joe's shoulder on a big screen. This is kind of fun.
Yeah,
There we go.
well, I'll tell you what, I saw him spiffing when you come on the screen, so he could tell you were there. He was there, he could tell, so.
That's right. This is
Yeah,
really fun, Joe. I'll be watching you.
Yes.
Commissioner, thank you for the note on, section 19. Can Kate make sure that that language is fine with the chair of Senate Appropriations? And that is the language on the forensic lab? Because I thought it was a little bit odd that, the chair of Appropriations, Senate Appropriations would ask me for that. And so I just want to make sure that she's fine with that language, because, as you know, I'm not too used to, and there's Kate's coming on now. So I'm just not too used to the chair of appropriations asking me for something that she's already got. So I just want to make sure, Kate, if you could please, on that language, that the Senate Appropriations Chair is fine with that language, and that's all that she needs on that forensic lab, which was section 19 on the language part of it. The what you sent me over. So if you could do that, I would appreciate that.
Happy to do that.
Okay, Joe, I'm sorry, I apologize.
All right. Commissioner, you want to take over? Or do you want me to continue?
No, you keep going, but did you do the really high level on reallocations to give them a basis for
Yeah,
how?
we were very fine with that. Yeah, I think we learned what we needed to learn in that. I don't think we're gonna get asked any, hard questions on that. It's pretty simple math, so.
It's just, my only point is it's always an evolution, right? Because all
Right.
of these financial accounts are active. So anytime you go in division and you look to see what we have for remaining money or what's been encumbered or anything, it's dynamic every single day. So that's just something to keep in mind when we talk about reallocations.
Yep, thank you.
You try to spend every dime, but it's awesome. See, okay, on to row 186, 120 State Street, the HVAC steam lines and interior renovation project. Governor's recommend was $2 million, and for FY 25, and the House took away 500,000 and reduced it to 1.5 million.
Okay. I'll put a little, that was one of the ones that kept on getting kicked down the road a little bit.
It has
Joe?
been over the years. This is the final, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Commissioner said that, you know, it's been out there for years and it's been troublesome. We have actually sort of phased that project over multiple years, and this is really the final phase of it. He's getting those seam lines that are in the concrete slab in the walls that could be leaking, getting them, you know, replaced, put a hot water system in there. And also do away with all the window units that are hanging out. You know, our operations and maintenance people have to take them out, put them back in, spring and fall. And that's what this money is for.
So I think I heard in your testimony yesterday, and please correct me, sir, if I misquote, what you might have said. But it would be problematic. You're ready now to finish that project and you're $500,000 short.
We are completing the programming right now, and we'll be right behind that, starting at the design of that. And what we're looking to do is we have to bring a construction manager on board because we're looking to renovate 2 floors at a time. All floors are filled in that building. We're not sure, and this is what the programming phase is doing to help out of really who gets relocated where. Department of Motor Vehicles is in there. That's their retail on the first floor. So moving them once, twice, or 3 times could be very difficult. Moving them off site probably is not that great of a thing either. So that's one or another, you know, people got to shuffle to get this work done. So that's what we're looking at. And that's where that construction project manager comes into play, is they will also help fit up that other temporary space and also start buying long lead items. As we mentioned yesterday, switch gear and air handling units are months, 6, 8, 10 months to almost 2 years for switch gear to purchase and install.
And I would just add to Joe that this will be an expensive project. There's no doubt in my mind. Because as Joe said, we need swing space. We're going to be moving employees around in the building. It's going to be a pretty comprehensive renovation because in order to get to all of the pipes, we're going to have to go through plenums. And so then we're doing new carpet and all sorts of things are going to happen. So I say that because yes, we got cut by the House. Understanding that Alice asked how much could we spend in the upcoming year. But as we've been saying, there's going to be a lot of future pressure in the capital bill. So whatever we don't pay for this year, you're going to have to pay for more of that down the road. This is going to be an expensive project. It will put pressure on the capital bill. So I would prefer that we start banking the money now, so that we're not asking so much in future years where we know we have other expensive projects coming through the capital bill as well.
So you need that 500K back.
I'm just saying that if we don't do the 500K this year, we're going to have to put the 500K into the next biennium, and you're going to have a lot of pressure in the next biennium, actually the next several bienniums coming up.
That's what I heard you say. I'm sorry.
I got it. Does it, you gotta help me here a little bit, Commissioner. Does it delay your project?
I'm going to look to Joe. Joe,
I'm not 100% sure yet, because I have no idea where that swing space is going to be. But it could be the fact that we're looking at this money here coming to us in July. Next July, if I'm under construction, I would be able to complete it. If I were to
I know that you were talking about starting that project because that was, and Commissioner, again, we had some conversations about some folks in Montpelier wanting to use that parking lot, but you wanted to encumber that parking lot with workspace. Am I correct with that? Where was that the parking lot that the farmer's market?
33.
Okay, so that's the wrong one. Okay, sorry, wrong building.
that's okay. That's okay. I guess the point that I'm trying to make though is you've got women's correctional and reentry, you potentially have forensics, you potentially have, match for Montpelier flood recovery. That's going to be expensive. And so all I'm trying to make the point, which is the overall point from the administration, is anything that's reduced in this biennium, right, you're going to see in following bienniums because we still need the money and you're going to have more things hitting the capital bill. So it just creates greater pressure. And then it comes down to which projects are not going to be advanced as a result because there won't be enough money in the capital bill.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Line 187, we have the Newport Northern State Correctional Facility, the boiler replacement. The House took $600,000 out of cash. There is a line item in the capital bill, also, and section 2, which is row 17. We requested 3.5 million in bonded money, and we also have some cash funds in there for getting the design going. And the House took that 600,000 and left us with 3.5.
Okay.
Just again, as the Commissioner said, it's banking money and also potential pre-ordering of equipment. And because the design is not complete yet, I don't know what that equipment cost is. We want to actually replace that, but the House did take, and that's FY24 funds, not 25.
Yeah.
So that one's a little bit different.
Okay.
Then we come down to row 650, that's fine. 189, the BGS, AHS Northwest State Bush booking expansion. This is the one that we went round and round with on yesterday for clarification, because that is also on row 24 under human services, in section 3. And so the capital bill request was for 2.5 million of bonded money and 600,000 in FY24 in cash. What the House did was they took, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, took 500,000 out of the bonded funds and then moved the 600,000 of cash into the bond funds.
Exactly.
Thank you. So I remember from yesterday.
And that, yeah, okay.
So we that was that little movement. So it looks like when you look at section 3 in the bonded money, they actually gave 100,000 more, but they did not. They took 500,000.
Yeah.
$500,000 less. Yeah, correct. Okay,
Well, 190 AHS DCF's the short-term fear stabilization facility. The request was for 1 million and the House took 250,000 out of that, and that is that facility right now that we're looking at. For speeding all that and going out to design, build, lease. And these funds here would be if paid for that if anywhere through the design process or the end of design, it's not feasible to move forward, it would be paying off those design fees and or for fit up of, furniture, the equipment that are not included in the lease.
so were you consulted about when you could get down from 1 million to 750, or that's just what happened?
Yeah, we talked to the House just as we were in here talking, I mean, as the commissioner said, it's, banking money or now paying later. By the
Okay,
time that facility is, constructed, we'll be back next year and there'll be more money in there. If needed.
okay,
191, Washington County Superior Court renovations, design, land and acquisition. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, you're right.
That I thought was off the line again, looking for $1 million. Here, the House took 150,000 from us. And then it's the same situation. Took a little here, a little there.
is that does that have another line elsewhere in the bill?
Shears.
Do they have another line somewhere else?
And the one above.
Courthouse, yes, we have bonded money, we have 750,000 for planning and design of requesting FY 24. So this would be augmenting that, and that's also, to be purchasing land along with design. As you know, we have gone out for a land search before and we did not get anything other than, our neighbor wants a true amount of money for the hole in ground. And so we're gonna be going out probably for another land search.
No, that's the wrong one. You're talking about Newport, right? Are we talking about Washington
Oh,
County?
sorry.
Yeah,
No, almost nowhere. It's very courthouse, it's very, we are looking for land. We did a land search and yet again, came a little empty on that, what we should be doing next. And so we're evaluating that because again, to fit up a temporary court room or courthouse is very expensive. Originally, this started out in pre-COVID, when we were looking at doing major renovations to that building, just for judiciary alone, and then again for what VGS was looking at, because the building was constructed in 1982. And we thought maybe it would be cheaper to tear it down, but when you take into the cost of the demolition and the rebuild and today's inflation, it really looks like it'd be easier to build it new elsewhere. And that's what these funds are for. Next up is what we're on 192, special teams, facility and storage. That when this started, was looking for land. So we're going to starting to design on this process and due to, the pressure on the capital bill. Was also looking at going for the design build lease model. Again, this would be going to, there's paying off the design if need be. If we decided not to go forward with the construction of the building to the cost and are also, looking for fit up costs and the house took another 150 on that also.
Is that because it's a lease? You don't think you can get as much money up front? What's the logic there, do you think?
With they taking the money?
Yeah,
we wanted to put it elsewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
but I mean, does that make sense? And like,
Well, again, what we would be doing is
Somebody
right
else not-
now, we would not be looking for the fit up cost for, like a year and a half out. But again, we'll be back next year.
Sure.
Needing those funds. So trying to bag money now as opposed to later.
okay,
Because the pressure that's coming with the large projects. Next up is 192. I'm sorry, 193.
Yeah, same
The
thing.
Rutland Field Station. And 150 off of that one. This is land we already own in Clarendon. It'll be very similar, smaller than when we built at Williston. and also at Westminster, because they had PSAPs in those. But it will be similar to, New Haven, St. Albans, Derby, a smaller version of that style going on that piece of property. So it's just a matter of going out as a bid for the design and taking the last year's design, bringing it up to code and going forward with that.
Do you know where they put that 150?
No, again, I don't know. I think they were done. They took all the cash and put it elsewhere. So 100 of that could have gone to that, line item for the Windsor place or something like that. But it's all in that mix of reallocations. Here goes Dave, the report projects. Row 203 is the next one that is by Food and General Services.
Hold on, what about 198? I think we talked about this yesterday.
Fish and Wildlife Major
We
Maintenance.
just took 800,000 out of FY 24, that was cash. And they did a little adjustment.
For Fish and Wildlife Major Maintenance is not us. That, the
Okay.
discussion of Fish and Wildlife was. I don't think there was any money to it, but it was really about, they're looking to expand the land that they have in the wildlife management
Okay.
area down closer to around the fence of the facility. And they're looking for, now Fish and Wildlife to be taking lead on that, to be evaluating that over the year. They should be on the survey.
The state colleges, that you guys,
That is not us also. We're on the state colleges.
I took $1 million of that.
The veterans home, only fast, we do that, but that is not us also, so I think it's. Row 203, the Newport Courthouse, and I spoke about earlier, they took 500,000. Of that. And that is line 10 in bonded funds, also 750,000 in FY 24.
Commissioner Joe, everybody, refresh my memory, we can use bonded dollars for fit up and all of that, right? That's why we're doing the cash fund, that's why we're trying to do that. We can, if we, for design, planning and designing, we can use bonded dollars, correct?
Technically speaking, when we use bonded dollars, it's a 20-year asset to the state.
Right.
Because it takes us 20 years to pay that asset off. So
Sure.
we generally use a 20-year time frame. And if we use capital bill dollars, according to Treasury, we are required to actually build something. So if we do planning, in theory, and design, or let's say we do design as well, and then we don't build anything, in theory, Treasury can claw the money back.
Right, okay.
So
Yeah.
that's technically.
Nope. There.
oh, we're unstable.
Well, we know that, Larry. Well, we'll wait for the commissioner to come back. Joe, does that clean us up?
The last line, row 206, is the state correctional facilities HVAC upgrades and replacements. We had an ask of $562,026. And that one, the abstract, it's got, that one wasn't moved, right?
Correct, they took that
Yeah,
money
that
and they
was-
moved it to line 26.
So bonded,
That's right. That was
And
another.
then they rounded a little just to make it an even number.
Correct. So they moved that to bonded dollars. And rounded.
okay,
I remember having that yesterday,
yeah,
and you were still short by a little bit, and that was what the roundup was, I guess.
right.
They rounded the whole number, but.
If I could do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? That finishes the cash. Is there anything else?
No, I think that we want to get through that. I'm glad we waited a day, to be honest with you, and, try to come back and do that, but,
All right,
we want to have fresh, when do we want to have fresh minds?
understand, that's fine.
Okay, well, committee, any questions about any of that we've gone through?
No. I guess the question,
Yeah.
because I wasn't here before, is there money in, say, a prior column that's being allocated to some of these projects that I don't know about just because I wasn't here for like that like 22 or 23 capital bills, or is it all somehow shown here?
It is not all shown there. There may be projects listed here that do have prior funds.
Okay, so
When we went through that line by line in
Yeah.
our presentation, I
Yeah.
did include that in the slides. so you
yeah,
can go
okay,
back and
I'll
get
go
those.
back and get those things.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
I think I even provided how much we've been converted and or expended at that point in time.
Probably, yeah, yeah,
Shows a little bit, but.
that's helpful.
Anything else? So. John, you got anything?
No, thank you.
Well, then Scott, do you have anything?
Just to add on with what Senator Runner was asking, some of the House committee's deliberations about when to trim and where to trim was because they had seen previous allocated dollars in FY 21-22. So that's one of the reasons why you're not going to see FY 21-22 on this spreadsheet, but some of the justifications for any trimming was because there was money from previous capital bills.
Which you clawed back during the reallocation part.
Right. That's so some of that money might still be unencumbered, et cetera. If there's ARPA dollars, especially, there was questions there. They wanted to make sure that ARPA money was spent, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kate, do you have anything?
Oh, I was just gonna say, Senator Renner, if you have any questions about particular projects, I can find the slides, the right slides, so you don't have to go digging through.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner, we're gonna, I think we're going down through anything. What would you like to add?
No, I wanted to do a pitch for the cash fund, right? The whole idea, and this is really where finance and management should come in, right? But the whole idea is when we bond for dollars, we pay back more. So for every dollar we spend through the capital bill, I don't remember what the equivalent is, but I think it's around $1.80 that we pay, right? So we want to get away from bonded dollars if we can and start moving to cash. So anytime we're reducing down the cash, it means we're going to be paying more back over the bonded dollars. And so, that's just one other thing to consider as you move forward. We really have to get our hands around the cash fund. And ideally, it is a good concept, right? We don't want to pay interest on something if we don't have to.
I hear you, Commissioner. When I spoke to the Chair of Senate Appropriations and kind of bemoaned the fact that I was missing quite a bit of cash, she kind of gave me a chuckle and said, "You've been robbed." So, and she's correct. And but we will we're asking for honesty. Not that's not what we get, and that's probably not the right word to say, but we're asking for your pitch to us as hard as you can give it to us as we're going down through this bill to make sure that we are not hampering you guys in your duties as we go. So yes, we appreciate the pitch as far as for the cash fund. We agree. We tend to agree with that as well. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
anything else? We want to thank everybody. Thanks for coming out on a snowy day and thanks for coming back the second day. I think we're gonna leave some space for you on next Thursday of next week. I don't really have anything for you right now, but I'm sure that we're going to, but we're gonna ask Thursday of next week for some time as well. I'm sure we're gonna probably be pretty good down the path of where we're at, so we'll be chatting again. If you need us, you know where to find us.
Absolutely. There's quite a bit of language. So at some point, we'd like to come in and go through that language with you.
Yes, we'd be good with that. If we want to save that for Thursday, or if you want to do it before then.
We're on your schedule, Mr. Chairman. I hope we carve out some time to do that.
You guys are busy as well, so we